At some point in life, many people realize that they are moving forward, but not truly living. Days are filled with tasks, conversations, responsibilities, and noise, yet something inside feels distant and muted. You wake up, do what needs to be done, and go to sleep, only to repeat the same cycle again. Nothing is necessarily wrong on the surface, but internally, there is a quiet sense of disconnection, as if life is happening around you, not through you. This feeling doesn't come from failure or lack of effort. In fact, it often appears in people who are doing everything right. Working hard, staying busy, staying productive. The problem is not the pace of life itself, but how little space is left to actually experience it. When your attention is constantly pulled outward, when your mind is always reacting, planning, or worrying, your inner life begins to fade into the background. Over time, presence is replaced by habit, and awareness is replaced by routine. Feeling alive is not about chasing intense emotions or dramatic changes. It's not about escaping your current life or waiting for a better version of it to begin. Feeling alive is about how connected you are to what you're experiencing right now. To your thoughts, your body, your choices, and the moments that quietly pass unnoticed. Most people lose this connection gradually, without realizing it. They don't stop living all at once. They slowly stop feeling. The good news is that this sense of aliveness can be rebuilt. Not through motivation or external success, but through conscious habits that reshape how you relate to your inner world. In this video, I want to share 6 habits that help restore presence, clarity, and inner stability. These habits are not extreme, complicated, or theoretical. They are practical shifts that change how life feels from the inside, helping you move from simply existing to truly being present in your own life. Habit 1 is to stop narrating your life in real time. Most people are constantly talking to themselves about what is happening instead of actually experiencing it. While something is happening, your mind is already judging it, explaining it, comparing it, or imagining how it will look later. You are never fully inside the moment because you are busy turning it into a story. This internal narration creates distance. You are present physically, but mentally you are one step removed, watching your life instead of inhabiting it. Breaking this habit means practicing moments of direct experience without commentary. Eating without labeling the food as good or bad. Walking without mentally reviewing your day. Listening to someone without preparing your response. At first, this feels uncomfortable because the mind is used to filling every gap with words. But when the narration quiets down, something important happens. The moment becomes fuller. Sensations become sharper. Time slows down internally. You begin to feel life instead of describing it. Aliveness grows when experience is allowed to exist without constant interpretation. This habit doesn't require silence all day. It requires awareness. The ability to notice when you are narrating instead of experiencing, and gently return to the raw moment. Over time, this changes how life feels. Moments stop slipping by unnoticed. You feel more grounded, more present, and less mentally exhausted. Life becomes something you participate in, not something you explain to yourself. Habit 2 is to allow unfinished moments to remain unfinished. Many people feel restless and drained because they have an unconscious need for closure in everything. They want clarity, certainty, answers, and emotional resolution as quickly as possible. When something feels unclear, unresolved, or incomplete, the mind panics. It replays conversations, imagines outcomes, and searches endlessly for meaning. This constant need to close the loop keeps the nervous system in a state of tension. Learning to live with unfinished moments is a powerful way to restore inner calm and vitality. Not every thought needs to be resolved. Not every emotion needs immediate understanding. Not every situation needs a conclusion right now. When you allow uncertainty to exist without fighting it, you free an enormous amount of mental energy. You stop forcing answers that aren't ready to appear. This habit is especially important in relationships, decisions, and personal growth. Sometimes clarity comes from patience, not effort. When you stop pressuring yourself to figure everything out, the mind relaxes. The body softens. You begin to trust that understanding will arrive when it needs to, not when anxiety demands it. This trust creates a sense of inner stability that doesn't depend on external certainty. Living with unfinished moments doesn't make you passive or careless. It makes you resilient. You learn to stand in the unknown without collapsing into worry. You move forward without dragging mental weight behind you. As a result, your inner world becomes quieter, lighter, and more spacious. And in that space, the feeling of being alive naturally returns. These first two habits work at a deep level. They reduce mental friction and bring you back into direct contact with your own experience. When you stop narrating everything and stop demanding constant closure, life stops feeling rushed and fragmented. Presence grows, and with it, a steady sense of aliveness that doesn't depend on external stimulation. Before we continue, if this message is helping you see your inner life more clearly, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps this content reach people who are also trying to reconnect with themselves. And in the comments, share which idea has resonated with you so far. Habit 3 is to create friction before emotional reactions. Most people react instantly to how they feel. A thought appears, an emotion rises, and behavior follows almost automatically. This creates a life driven by impulse instead of intention. Small frustrations turn into arguments. Temporary emotions turn into permanent decisions. Over time, this pattern drains energy and creates regret. Creating friction means inserting a pause between what you feel and what you do. Not to suppress emotions, but to slow the chain reaction. This pause can be very simple. A breath before responding. A moment of silence before sending a message. A short walk before making a decision. That small delay gives your nervous system time to settle. When emotions are not immediately discharged into action, they begin to reorganize themselves. What felt urgent loses intensity. What felt personal becomes clearer. You regain the ability to choose instead of react. This habit restores a deep sense of control. Not control over emotions, but control over how you relate to them. You stop feeling dragged by every internal wave. Life becomes steadier. You trust yourself more because you know you won't act against your own values in moments of intensity. Over time, this creates emotional maturity and inner strength. You feel more alive not because emotions disappear, but because they stop controlling your direction. Habit 4 is to stop outsourcing your sense of meaning. Many people unconsciously wait for life to feel meaningful because of something external. Recognition, success, approval, relationships, or future milestones. Meaning becomes conditional. I'll feel fulfilled when this happens. This creates a constant sense of postponement. Life feels like preparation for something else, instead of something that is already happening. Stopping this habit means reclaiming meaning as an internal act. Meaning is not something you find, it's something you assign. The way you show up, the care you bring to ordinary moments, the intention behind your actions. When meaning depends on external outcomes, your inner life becomes fragile. When meaning comes from alignment with your values, your inner life becomes stable. This shift changes how you experience time. Even simple days stop feeling empty. Work becomes more than a means to an end. Relationships become more than validation. You stop waiting for life to begin and start recognizing that it already has. This doesn't eliminate ambition or growth. It grounds them. You pursue goals without tying your sense of worth to their outcome. People who reclaim meaning internally feel more alive because their life no longer feels delayed. They experience depth even in quiet periods. They don't need constant stimulation or approval to feel engaged. There is a steady sense of purpose that comes from living in alignment, not from reaching milestones. This habit builds inner independence and a calm confidence that doesn't depend on circumstances. Together, these two habits change how you move through emotional moments and how you relate to the direction of your life. When you create friction before reacting and stop outsourcing meaning, your inner world becomes more stable and intentional. You feel less scattered, less reactive, and more grounded in who you are. And that grounded presence is a powerful foundation for feeling truly alive. Habit 5 is to stop treating rest as something you earn. Many people believe they must justify rest. They feel allowed to slow down only after everything is done, everything is solved, and everyone else is satisfied. Rest becomes a reward, not a necessity. As a result, the The body is always tense, and the mind never fully releases. Even during moments of pause, there is guilt, pressure, or the sense that you should be doing something else. This creates a constant state of internal exhaustion. Changing this habit means recognizing that rest is not a luxury. It is a biological and psychological requirement. You don't rest because you finished everything. You rest so you can remain functional, clear, and emotionally stable. When rest is postponed indefinitely, your nervous system never resets. Over time, this leads to numbness, irritability, and a loss of vitality. Allowing rest without justification restores a sense of safety inside the body. The mind stops operating in survival mode. You begin to feel more grounded, more patient, and more present. This kind of rest doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be a quiet pause, a moment without stimulation, or permission to stop pushing for a while. When rest becomes intentional instead of conditional, life stops feeling like a constant test. You regain energy not just to function, but to feel. Habit 6 is to stop postponing presence until conditions improve. A common but subtle habit is living as if the present moment is not the real one. Many people tell themselves that once things are clearer, calmer, or more stable, then they will fully show up. Until then, they stay emotionally guarded. They delay honesty, curiosity, joy, and engagement. Life becomes something provisional, as if it were a waiting room for a better moment that has not yet arrived. Breaking this habit means choosing to be present even when things are imperfect. Even when you feel uncertain, tired, or unfinished. Presence is not a reward for having everything figured out. It is a decision to inhabit the moment as it is. When you stop postponing presence, ordinary moments gain depth. Conversations feel more real. Time feels less abstract. You feel more connected to your own life instead of watching it pass. This habit also changes how you relate to discomfort. Instead of trying to escape the present mentally, you stay with it. Not to dwell in suffering, but to stop running from it. When you allow yourself to be present with discomfort, it often softens. What you resist tends to persist. What you allow tends to transform. Presence creates space for emotional movement instead of stagnation. Living without postponing presence does not mean forcing positivity or pretending everything is fine. It means refusing to put your life on hold. You allow yourself to feel, to participate, and to respond authentically, even when circumstances are not ideal. This creates a quiet courage. You stop waiting for life to begin and realize it has been happening all along. Together, these two habits restore depth to everyday experience. When you stop treating your inner state as secondary and stop postponing presence, you begin to live from the inside out. Your actions become more grounded, your emotions more integrated, and your days more real. This is not a dramatic transformation, but a subtle return to yourself. And that return is one of the clearest signs that you are no longer just existing, but truly living. As you reach the end of this video, it becomes clear that feeling alive is not about adding more intensity to your life, but about removing what disconnects you from it. None of the habits we explored were about doing more, achieving more, or becoming someone else. They were about relating differently to your own experience. About noticing where your attention goes, how your mind reacts, and how often you abandon the present moment without realizing it. Many people believe they are tired of life, when in reality they are tired of constant mental pressure, emotional noise, and the feeling of always being one step ahead or behind themselves. They are tired of narrating everything, reacting automatically, searching for certainty, postponing meaning, ignoring their inner state, and waiting for the right moment to start living. Over time, these habits quietly drain vitality. Life continues, but it loses texture, depth, and presence. The 6 habits shared in this video are not meant to be mastered all at once. Trying to apply everything immediately often leads to frustration. Real change happens when you choose one habit and begin to practice it gently, without pressure. Pay attention to how it changes your inner rhythm. Notice how your reactions soften, how your awareness grows, and how moments feel more real. Small, consistent shifts create profound results over time. Feeling alive does not mean feeling happy all the time. It means feeling connected. Connected to your thoughts without being controlled by them. Connected to your emotions without being overwhelmed by them. Connected to your body, your values, and the moment you are in. Presence does not remove difficulty, but it changes how difficulty is experienced. You stop fighting life internally and start participating in it more honestly. Perhaps while listening, you recognized habits that have been shaping your days without your awareness. Perhaps you noticed where your energy has been leaking or where you have been living on pause. That recognition is not a problem. It is clarity. And clarity is the beginning of change. When you see yourself more clearly, you gain the freedom to choose differently. If this video helped you reflect on how you've been living, take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It supports this work and helps this message reach others who are also trying to reconnect with themselves in a world that rarely slows down. And now, I want to hear from you. In the comments, share which habit stood out to you the most, or which one you feel ready to practice starting today. Your reflection might be exactly what someone else needs to pause, reset, and begin living with more presence.